You want to be smarter, taller, better looking? Forget about that. But I can teach you high-level painting. Welcome. My name is Marcus. I'm a professional miniature painter. And in this video, I will teach you to go from a basic miniature to a high-level painted miniature. In the previous video, we worked on a basic painted model. This is fine, this is nice, it is good looking and perfect for a lot of reasons. But now we will work on a more precise and delicate finish of your model. So what's the difference between a basic painted model and a high-level painted model? It's more or less the peaking of the highlights and the shadows and spending a little more time on the smallest details. Especially with limitless painting, you don't need any new tools or any new paints for this tutorial. In the previous video on basic quality, we are very fine with the basic color as our last highlight. But if you want to go high level, you really need to peak that up. To brighten up your color, you need to mix it up with a light color. So use white, off-white or a pre-mixed light color. On high-level painting, it's all about precision, it's all about the details, it's all about the small things. So double check the consistency of your color after you're mixing it and after you brighten it up. Once you're happy with the color, we can go to the highlights. Again, like in the previous steps, we will focus on the very upper areas. What we want here is highlighting the very upper parts of the area. So don't touch the middle and the lower parts of the surfaces. Sometimes it's not that easy to find the perfect spot for your highlight. For me, the easiest way of highlighting big surfaces is to break it down in smaller parts. Make sure your color consistency is not too thick. It's better to make multiple coats than just one thick one. For me, the easiest way of achieving a nice highlight is to double check each layer. Is it too bright? Is it too dark? In that stage, in that situation, you can redo it. So double check it. As always, we go from the big volume areas to the smaller volume areas. So now we come to the feathers. In my opinion, there are just two ways of painting feathers. You can see the feather as one object or as a lot of individual small objects. If you see it as one big object, you can also highlight it as one big object. But no worries, at the last step, you can push the contrast and also the effect of the feather properly. If you see the feather as little individual objects, so every feather string is different, this is a more complex way of painting it. So now you go one step further and highlight every string separately. So for me, and in that case, it's a wargaming miniature, so option 1 is fine. So after we are done with all the big volumes, you got it right, we need to go to the details. To push the contrast, even on the little surfaces, on the smallest details, you need to go very bright. There is not so much surface to build up a big gradient. Don't be scared, you can go up a little bit brighter than normally, but don't overdo it. Keep in mind all the tricks I told you in the previous videos about the brush control, you will need it in that steps. But let's talk about metallic paints. Metallics are not that easy to highlight. You cannot just mix white in it. So what you need is an even brighter metallic color. With metallic colors, I'm normally really careful with the mixing. Metallic colors can be a little bit more different to normal acrylics, so don't go too bright for the next highlight step. So what have we done now? We have finished with all the highlights, we have our basic techniques, our model looks pretty neat now. But wait, there is a checkpoint. To go to the very last details and the very last highlights, we really need to check the model first. This is an important step. If you want to go high level, you need to check your model first. So turn it around, upside down, check for errors, is everything opaque or not? So you can make some touch-ups. If you checked your model and it's fine, you go to the next steps. And these are the last highlights. We need to push the highlights even more. Take the color from the last step and brighten it up with the highlight color you like. Especially with bright highlights. We need to focus on the very top parts and sometimes also on the edges. Like in the last step, you want to push that contrast to achieve that perfect high-level look. And again, on that steps, it's very important to double check the consistency of your color. You don't want thick color on the model surfaces, so check it. It might sound a little bit silly to highlight and shade every surface with the same technique. Isn't that a little bit simple? But for me, painting is a craftsmanship. So the basics is the most important part for me and also the key to success. So this wouldn't be limitless painting if there is no checklist. So here it is. Patchy surfaces, uneven layers that might cause an irritation for the spectator. So number one, you might know it is the opaqueness. To achieve a very bright and strong finish on your model, the opaqueness is the key. Number two, this is very important, especially for the high-level appearance. Precise edges. So check all the surfaces, all the details. If you have missed a spot, you can touch it up now. Number three, this is kind of the wow effect. For a high-level appearance, it is very important to have highlights, shadows, but also, and this is the most important part, your base color. Make sure the highlights are bright enough. This is the only way of pushing your contrast. You need dark shadows and high highlights. In this stage, you can really fix it. If it's not bright enough, go back to the last step and brighten it up a little bit. Once you are happy with the overall appearance, the lights, the shadows, you are done with that step. But wait, you can do a little bit more. After all the surfaces and the model looks great, there are some little things you can still do. For me personally, I really like to tint surfaces. With tinting and color shifting surfaces, you can give your model the last little twist of character. This is a very easy step, but you really need to be careful with the consistency of your shades or inks. In this video, we will focus on shades, but we will talk about inks in the next videos. So what we do here, we will thin our washes or shades even more. After we are happy with the consistency and the pigmentation of that washes, we can tint specific areas of the model to give it a little bit more characteristic. As you can see here, I really like to tint the feathers of the model on the tip. For this part of highlighting, it is very important to let your layers dry properly. And to push the focus even more in the face area, there is a little tip for you. I really like to use warm colors, warm shades and washes in the face area. That focuses the eye on the very important part of the miniature. This is something for your personal taste. As you noticed, we didn't focus too much on the base now. In that case, we have a pre-modeled base. So this is a little bit different to my other bases. Because again, it is pre-modeled and we treat it like a canvas. Guys, this is Limitless painting. It's an easy system, easy to learn for everybody, and we will try to push your skills with our content. If you like our content and want to support us, we make a monthly raffle on Patreon. Follow us for more and stay limitless.